Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at this position. It is white to move and win. So feel free to pause the video for a while to try to figure out the answer on your own before we dive into the video. Okay, so now what we want to do as white, we want to be able to promote the pawn, make a queen, and eventually win this game. But we have to move the rook away. And once we move the rook away anywhere, fortunately, we're gonna lose the pawn. So the best way to actually win this kind of endgame is to give a check with the rook, okay? And then you will be able to defend the pawn once it is promoted. And then he will have to sack the rook for it, and then once you take it, you will be in a winning endgame. So it's a very simple idea, and I think it's going to be very also simple and easy solution for you. It is a little bit tricky, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure you will be able to find it. So now, of course, we should not be moving the rook. We should be moving the king to get this check happening, and then we can promote. Okay, so moving the king to a7, for example, trying to put the rook here, or it doesn't actually work. The reason for that black will be able to promote, sorry, not to promote, but to be able to play a rook here. The reason this move is the best move, you want to be able to restrict the movement of the king and then just get the king closer, and that will be fine. Just make sure not to be checked by this rook. So moving the king actually, like if we did not play this move, if we move the king, this is losing, because white will be able to give us a check, a tempo. Once we move the king, he's going to be able to promote, and then we have to sack the rook for it, and that's an obvious losing endgame. That's why they should always look at each other. But this is still losing. This is still losing for black. But king to a7, okay? After king to a7, it is still a draw. The reason for that, because of rook to h6. You don't move the king. Once he moves the king, you move the king to stay on the exact same file as the king, because you want to stop the rook from giving a check, and then it's going to be a draw because of repetition, you know. So now, after this rook to h6, white can play many moves. Like for example, if the rook decided to move away, we can just take the pawn. If the king went b7, you know, try to get all the way to here to attack our rook, we can play king to b4. We should stay exactly on the exact same file. This is for black actually, okay? And after the king keeps moving, king c5, king here, all black has to do is just to stay on the exact same file, and this will be a draw, because we blundered. It is not king to a7, and now you will see why. Because you might say, well, we can just go here. Well, after king to f7, king to f5, still fine. King g7, we just play this check. The pawn is moving like this, so it doesn't take. King moves somewhere, and then we go back. Once the rook moves, we take the pawn. If he attacks, we give a check. If he went here, we give a check. If he went here, we give a check. If he went here, that's very important to see what we will do here. If we played rook to h6, we're cooked. The reason for that, they can play check and then promote. So, the best move is to play here is rook to f6. Yes, you're allowing rook to have free move, but that's still losing. After rook here, the rook moves away, it doesn't really matter where. He's not going to be able to promote, because you have a check. You're going to win it back. But you might say, well, hold on. This is not a draw. White can play a rook to e7. If we take, he's going to take back. After we play this, he's going to promote. We cannot attack the pawn because he can take our rook. And if we take, he's going to promote. Hold on. King to g6. This is losing. It's losing because if rook takes here, and after king takes rook, white can even just promote actually to a queen, because there will be no stalemate, right? It looks like stalemate, but there's still one option for black, and that is king to g6. So in this position, we don't take. We just go back. He's not going to promote. We're going to go back with the rook. We're going to get the king closer, and we're going to win the pawn, and then we trade, and we get the draw. If he went back to d8, now we just give a check, and then we repeat moves. So that's why the move king to a7 does not work. King to b8 also does not work because of king to b4. King try to get closer, we play king here. King to c5. King try to get closer, and actually it is the exact same thing. All we have to do just to maintain the kings on the exact same file and keep guarding the pawn, and it's going to be a draw. The only move for white that actually wins this, it is king to b7, and congratulations if you find it. I think it's very easy to find because of the obvious immediate threat of rook to a8 check, and then you can be able to promote. So now here, actually, black cannot do much, because even if black decided to play, for example, king to b4, trying to get the king closer, it doesn't really help because white in this position can play a really beautiful move, and that is king to c6. King to c6 keeps threatening the black king of this annoying check on b8, and once we move the king, he will be able to promote. So we go here. You might say, well, this is still a draw, right? Well, it is not, because of king to d6, still threatening, so we have to go away. You cannot go here because of the immediate check. You have to hide behind the king. But this is still winning for white, because of king to e6, king to e4 must be played, king to f6, and king to f4 still must be played. You need to, hide like this. But now in this position, the reason king to b7 is the winning move, because we wanted to move the king to this exact location on f6 to play a really beautiful move. And I want you to take some time to find the move on your own. Okay, hopefully you managed to pause the video for a while to try to, think it through. And that move is a beautiful rook to f8. Rook to f8, you want to give a check, you want to move the king, give him a check. Or you want to promote on the next move, and once he takes, you take back, and that will be a winning endgame. You might say, well, that is just a free pawn. Well, no, it is not. The beauty of this position that you forced the black king to follow you all the way to this location so that you can give away the pawn to move the king away for a discovered check and win. King moves anywhere else, it doesn't really matter. King takes rook, and this is a winning endgame. Thank you so much for watching this video.